You know how it is in the crypto world? Uh, Things can just move incredibly fast, like 0 to 100 sometimes. And today, there's definitely some noise building around the Pi network. Lots of whispers, speculation, maybe something big. We're talking about a potential Binance listing.
That's right. And we've seen some, well, let's say intriguing signals. There was a Coinpedia article actually shared on Binance Square that flags some of this. So our goal today really is to cut through that noise, try and figure out what these developments actually mean for Pi Network and maybe for the rest of us in the crypto space too. Give you the key takeaways.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this date floating around May 14th, keeps popping up. The PiaCore team themselves are hinting at some kind of big announcement then. It feels like maybe these pieces are starting to connect. Okay, so let's dive into this Binance connection first. This Coinpedia piece mentioned interesting activity on a Binance wallet.
Yeah, specifically Binance's Stellar Deposit Wallet.
Yeah.
And what makes that stand out is, well, this same wallet has reportedly been used before for PI transactions, actual Pi.
Ah, okay, so it's not just some random wallet activity. There's a history there.
Precisely. So seeing what looks like Binance testing transactions, maybe on the Pi chain, using that specific wallet,
Hmm.
it does suggest more than just like casual interest. It could point towards some kind of integration process being explored.
Right. I mean, we can't jump to conclusions, obviously, but seeing Binance potentially testing the Pi chain on a wallet already linked to Pi, it definitely makes you think, and it certainly adds fuel to those listing rumors we've been hearing.
hmm And that ties in quite nicely with the Pi Network's own news, doesn't it? This upcoming announcement on May 14th, they've been quite specific, teasing a big Pi ecosystem announcement.
Mm.
They even gave a little detail mentioned a large number of developer applications are being reviewed right now.
Okay, and here's where it gets even more interesting, maybe. The article mentioned a tweet from Pi Barter Mall. Apparently, that tweet didn't just confirm the announcement, it suggested some of these new applications might get listed soon.
Exactly. Listed within the Pi ecosystem. So imagine potentially a whole wave of new apps and functions suddenly appearing on Pi. That could be quite a boost for them, theoretically.
Okay, so lots of potential good news, hints of activity, but let's look at the actual market. Where is PiCoin sitting right now?
Well, that's where things look a bit less exciting, perhaps. It's hovering around 60 cents, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
It had a small gain recently, like 4%. But overall,
Yeah.
there hasn't been any significant price action, really. No strong upward trend.
Right. And the article talked about market indicators, things like RSI, OBV. What are they showing?
Yeah, according to the article, those indicators are suggesting pretty weak buying interest at the moment. It paints a picture of, a market that's maybe holding its breath, waiting for something concrete to happen.
Makes sense. So the hype isn't really reflected in the price charts just yet?
Not really. In fact, the piece mentions some analysts predicting that Pi might just keep trading sideways or even dip, maybe towards 52 cents or lower, unless there's a major event, like a Binance listing, for example.
Right, a real catalyst. Which kind of brings us back to the Pi network itself, the fundamentals. It launched its open mainnet, February last year, and built up this huge community, over 60 million users, apparently. That's massive. But the article also touches on some, challenges they faced along the way.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about why that huge user base hasn't necessarily translated into really strong on-chain metrics yet. The project's apparently struggled with things like low liquidity, not a huge amount of transaction activity, and the lack of smart contract features.
Ah, the smart contracts point. That feels pretty important, doesn't it? I mean, smart contracts are kind of the engine for so much innovation in crypto, right? DeFi, dApps, all that stuff. It's what lets different services talk to each other directly on the blockchain. Without that.
Without that, your options are definitely more limited compared to networks like Ethereum or Solana, for instance. It makes building a complex ecosystem much harder.
And it's worth remembering, PiCoin has seen higher prices. The article mentions it hit, around $2 at its peak. So there was significant hype before.
There was. But the project's also had its share of criticism. Regulatory questions, especially around its referral model early on. How it grew so fast.
Yeah, and the article brings up some pretty harsh words, too. I think it mentioned the Bybit CEO even called it a scam at one point.
It did mention that, yeah. Now, to be fair, the Pi team has always pushed back hard against those kinds of accusations. They've consistently denied them. But, that kind of negative commentary from prominent figures, it can stick around. It shakes perception.
Okay, so we've got this really mixed picture then. We have these hints, maybe, from Binance. We have a big announcement promised by the Pi team for the 14th. But then we have a price that's kind of stuck. and these underlying technical limitations like the smart contracts issue.
Exactly. And it all boils down to that one big question that seems to be on everyone's mind in the Pi community. Could a Binance listing actually happen this time? Is it finally on the cards?
And yeah, as the article concludes, that really is the $1 million question, isn't it? Or maybe the 60-cent question right now. The wallet activity, it's suggestive. The timing with the announcement adds to the intrigue. But at the end of the day, Binance has its own listing process, its own criteria. Pi Network would need to tick those boxes.
Absolutely. So just to recap for everyone listening, we've got the interesting Binance wallet activity possibly linked to Pi, the upcoming May 14th announcement from the Pi team focused on developers and ecosystem growth. Then there's the current Pi coin price, which isn't really showing much excitement yet, and those underlying challenges the network faces, liquidity, activity, smart contracts.
Right. And don't forget the history, the previous price highs, but also the criticisms and hurdles they've encountered. So while these recent signs, the Binance stuff, the announcement, it might offer some hope to the Pi community, it's definitely still uncertain. No guarantees here.
No guarantees at all. Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on, considering everything we've talked about, the potential Binance link, the ecosystem news coming up, the market reality right now, the network's fundamentals. What do you think the potential ripple effects could be, both good and bad, for Pi users, for the project itself, and maybe even for the wider crypto space? Whatever happens, or doesn't happen, on May 14th, it's definitely a situation worth watching, a complex picture, and yeah, the story's still unfolding. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.